Getting back to the case, Nick is challenging the search warrant, and he's challenging the search of his home. He filed through his attorney, what's called a Franks motion under Franks v. Delaware, and he's challenging the veracity of the affidavit itself. So the affidavit that was used to apply for the search warrant. He's basically saying that the cops lied. And he's saying that in addition to that, their lies were material, or if they weren't lies, they were so reckless that they should have realized there was something wrong with the information they were relying upon. They had a brief hearing about this, their omnibus hearing. The state wanted time to respond, which I think, that's only fair. You file a motion, everybody gets to respond. The state responded, and they responded very, very succinctly. And I think they, once again, the state did a good job of articulating their things. Unlike Nick and his attorney the first time through, it was a disjointed, slapdashed, kind of hot garbage. Now, I will say, just looking at this thing as a whole, it looks good. You've got headings, you've got block quotations, which is how you do it if you're trying to quote a lot of things at once. You've got, subheadings here. You've got, and we've got, look, here's what we're talking about. This looks good. I'm like, holy cow, I actually like this. This is I'm not trying to be a smartass, but 10 out of 10 on style alone. Because when you see something that's properly formatted, you're thinking, okay, these people are with it. They're with their shit. That's a very critical thing. You have to. Because it's professionalism. I mean, this almost looks like it's written by an entirely different person, which is kind of sus to me. And even the grammar in this is a little different vocabulary, but just the formatting and style, we do have writing styles. And, for example, when I worked in a prosecutor's office, when we would file motions, the judge could tell whether it was me or as one of the other assistant prosecutors based on how we wrote. And this is clearly somebody else. I don't know who did this, but whoever did this, they get points for just not having looked like hammered dog shit. Because that's a real problem. That was my problem with the first one. If it's hammered dog shit, it makes it even harder. It's hard for people to figure out what's going on at that point. And that includes people like me. Let's actually get to the actual motion now. Let's get to it. I will say the tone of this motion very much sounds like someone from Reddit. It's got a Reddit-y tone to it. The state has reasonably restated the two issues remaining before the court with regards to defendant's pending motion. The state's conclusion, however, is incorrect. And they claim that they've made a sufficient showing to warrant a Franks hearing, and the defendant has shown the seizure of firearms was unlawful. Now, once again, guys, the seizure of the firearms being unlawful, that's just, it ain't going to work. That's, you find guns in a house full of drugs. The cops aren't like, well, here you go, Mr. Drug Dealer, take your guns back. No. The United States Constitution, the Minnesota Constitution, guarantee the defendant's right to be free from unreasonable search and seizure, correct? This court stands as a bulwark. It's the defense against unfettered authority of a state's police powers. I like that language so far. And while the state has correctly identified that the presence of probable cause should be determined under totality of the circumstances test, the state fails to recognize that under the totality of the circumstances, Deputy Pomplin's narrative, upon which the court is inadequate, I did a little bit of a typo there, as Deputy Pomplin's material misrepresentations and omissions render the warrant constitutionally deficient. Are you really sure about that? Because we're going to get to that. And now we have A, showing insufficient to invoke Franks, and they're saying it is sufficient. So reading the law as suggested by the state would lead to a patently absurd result. The state's torture construction of the prevailing law would ensure that no defendant could ever succeed in challenging an affidavit. I don't think so here, but okay. This notion by itself offends both the warrant clause and the due process clause of the United States and Minnesota constitutions. And they're saying it is obvious. It's obvious, Your Honor. Well, and in my Redditor opinion, as a Redditor mod, it's obvious. The substance of the defendant's motion to suppress and dismiss is challenging the accuracy of material facts in a facially valid search warrant. Therefore, the district court is not confined to the four corners of the search warrant and the court may look to extrinsic evidence. And now they cite this case, State v. Lushao, and it's not Lolcow. I know people were thinking that. And they say, despite nearly 5 decades old, and yeah, that's true. A case could be, 200 years old. Look back to Marbury v. Madison. That's an old case. Hunter's Leslie. All these cases, they're still valid. It remains good law. And no subsequent decision in the Minnesota Supreme Court or the U.S. Supreme Court has degraded its authority. The rules articulated by the Minnesota Supreme Court are simple, finite, and include, and once again, this is where, why wasn't all this in your original motion? Like, this is the stuff I was expecting the first time around. The defendant in Minnesota has a right to challenge the truth and accuracy of allegations in a affidavit which is used to obtain a warrant. Such a challenge should be made at the omnibus hearing. Okay, and he did that. The trial court should determine if the defendant had produced sufficient evidence to put in issue the truth and accuracy of the allegations in the affidavit. A defendant is entitled to some form of disclosure as provided if he makes sufficient showing that such evidence is necessary to support his challenge to the issuance of the search warrant. Okay. The trial court must rule on the validity of the search warrant either on the basis of the evidence presently before it or upon that evidence and such other evidence as it deems necessary to make its ruling. Now, this is the part here where, Nick, I think you kind of stepped on your wiener here, because number 7, if I'm the judge, there's some other evidence out there I want to look at, and I think you know what it is. So now you kind of stepped all over your wee-wee on that one. Like, you just, raked yourself right in the balls. And we're going to get to that, though. We're going to get to that issue. Okay. So clearly this court can go outside the 4 corners of the warrant in its analysis of the sufficiency of a challenge to a warrant under Franks. And they say Matheson applies federal common law to a federal criminal matter. You're right, it does, but it's guidance. It's an idea. It's direction. They say Minnesota has never held the only way to make a necessary showing for a Franks hearing is to produce an affidavit. You're right, it's not, but it'd be very helpful. It would be very helpful for you, Nick, to say, I'm Nick Rekieta. Here's why this is wrong. Or I'm bringing an expert. I watched, my name's Bob Boberson. I've watched these videos. I can tell you this video is wrong. I can tell you there were watermarks. I can tell you it's been altered. And here's how I can tell you. It would be very helpful for you to have that. You should. Because, once again, belt and suspenders. Reinforce your position. You should. Now, they point out neither did Matheson itself. They said in that case, the 8th Circuit held, without an offer of proof in the form of a sworn affidavit or some other reliable corroboration, which we don't have here, and we'll get to why they don't have that, is insufficient to make the difficult preliminary showing. Now, they get to the YouTube video, and we're going to get into some YouTube explanations here, chat. We're going to get into some stuff here. We're getting a little inside baseball, so get ready for it. They say, even if Matheson applied in the instant case, to require corroboration is information readily discernible to the court, namely the altered video. Once again, this word here they use, altered. This is a loaded word. And I will be honest with you. There's nothing wrong with using loaded language. You're trying to persuade. You're going to use inflammatory language. You're trying to poison that well. You're trying to insert into the court's mind altered. Therefore, it's wrong. Therefore, it's bad. Therefore, it's not reliable. Therefore, Pomplin lied or he shouldn't have relied upon it. There's nothing wrong with doing that. That's part of the game. You're introducing these thoughts into his head. You're treating the judge like a juror. You're trying to set the battlefield. You're shaping the narrative. You're shaping the battlefield. You're shaping the conditions under which you fight. So you're trying to control the language. You shape it. You're trying to, the Overton window, all of that. You're trying to change things onto your benefit. And I said, ironically, it is the state that has provided the court with evidence necessary to corroborate the defendant's assertions, and that Deputy Pomplin materially misled Judge Fisher, especially as to the origin of the video Deputy Pomplin reviewed. They say the following is submitted in response to the state's assertion that defendant's exhibits are incomplete and create a misleading picture of the evidence provided. On August 30th, the state uploaded an exhibit that purports to be the video that Deputy Pomplin watched prior to his application. And that's, remember, the prosecutor said, fine, Judge, here, we're going to upload the video for you to see. And yes, Nick Rekieta's stream, it's a video recording. It was uploaded 8/24. This is the same video the state produced at its initial disclosure and was referenced in the supplemental reports from the KCSO, the Kandiyohi County Sheriff's Office. And you see here, digital audio recording interview with blank, digital audio recording interview with blank. So I'm assuming that's Nick, and I'm assuming that's April, because remember, Kayla kept her mouth shut. They said a flash drive containing videos from Aaron Imholt and the video from Nicholas Rekieta showing the white powdery substance, the full 4-hour video. Now, in the details, it's saying, I, Detective Quinn Pomplin, prepared a flash drive which contains 4 videos, three of which are from Aaron Imholt's online streaming and is information that was referenced in my original search warrant of the investigation. Also in that flash drive is the Nicholas Rekieta video, where it shows him getting extremely intoxicated, as well as a short time after he returned for going to the bathroom, and he has a white powdery substance on his nose. That video is referenced in the original search warrant of the investigation. That flash drive is in the Kandiyohi County evidence system. Okay. So they say Deputy Pomplin, however, has 2 problems to supplement in his affidavit in support of his application for the warrant. He has 2 problems. First is the initial supplemental report. Deputy Pomplin identifies his digital evidence as including, in his initial supplemental report, a PowerPoint video clip from Nicholas Rekieta's online podcast, which shows white powdery substance on his nose, and also a screenshot from Nick Rekieta's podcast, which shows the white powdery substance on his nose. And they say both the PowerPoint video and the screenshot were provided in the state's initial disclosure. This is a screenshot taken of the PowerPoint video. You know, this is the lawyers peeing, the show will resume shortly thing. Yes. Notice there's no picture of Nick on here, because what's him the rest of the stream? Going like, you know, Nick's standing there going like this the whole time. Just a drunken fucking mess, or he's coked up to the gills. So yes, I understand why we're using this screen, because it doesn't hurt you. This clip embedded in the PowerPoint presentation did not come from the defendant's YouTube channel, as is evident from the screenshot taken at the elapsed point of time of the video that the state uploaded on August 30th, 2024. Yes, and he's not alleging that. The 2 videos are clearly different, with another creator putting his or her stamp on the video on which Pomplin, by extension Judge Fisher, relied. Now we're going to get to the faggotry in all of this, chat. The faggotry of all of this. This is the bullshit. This is the bullshit part. And here's the thing. I don't mind Nick defending himself, but he's fucking making a disaster of it. And it's not good. This is really dog shit. And this is where he fucking rakes himself. Now, let's go back up to this screenshot right here. This is the one from Cog's channel, okay? Because he's got his backwards internet on it. You know, oi, me make Cog on backwards internet. You know, does he have a license to run backwards internet? I don't know. Does he have a license? But yes, Cog is there, and you can see his channel icon, and then you see this part up here, the actual title of the video. Now let's go to this again real quick, because we're going to watch this real quick, and I want to bring something up. Because we're going to do this. And look what we see here. Look what we see here, chat. We see Rekieta versus Rekieta Law of the Franks motion. Now, is that a title? No. That's the title, but that's YouTube putting it on there. Because what happens as soon as I hit play?
Difference, fuckface. What is the difference between the video?
Notice it disappears. It's like this bar at the bottom. I'm surprised that Nick and his attorney aren't screaming bloody murder about this down here, saying, there wasn't a play button on my video. There isn't a status bar. That's all alterations. No, it's from YouTube as a media player and the way it works. This is absolute bullshit. This is absolute bullshit. And then to go even further into things, this is channel customization for YouTube, okay? This is my channel's customization, okay? You could change the banner. I could change my profile. I could change my name. I could change the handle. And then I have the description you guys see on the things, okay? My channel URL. The custom URL. If I have links I want to show, I can do that. I have contact info. And then the video watermark. But look what I can do. I can have it on for the entire video. I could customize the start time. I could put it at the end. I could change it. Or you know what I could do? I can go, we're not having one. We're not having one. Now, why is that important? Because YouTube adds that. YouTube adds that. And what I would tell you is when you download videos, when you download a video, none of that stuff comes with you. You notice that little bar at the top, up here in the top, that doesn't come with you. The little watermark down below, that doesn't come with you. So it's been altered. No. Because you notice right away, look what do we see in the next clip. It's been unaltered, chat. It's an unaltering. It's Schrodinger's watermark. Where did it go? Where did it go? Oh no! Oh no! No, chat, it's Schrodinger's watermark. It's gone. We can't find it. Schrodinger's watermark, it disappeared. Schrodinger's watermark is gone. Nick, where did it go? And then look up here, it's gone. Cog's some sort of cyber hacker. He's the biggest hacker on the sector. He manipulated all this. He snuck in Detective Pomplin's files and deleted it. Or you know what Detective Pomplin did? Detective Pomplin went to the NSA and they deleted all this shit. Now, we get to this. This is the most bullshit argument. But they also point out, this is also provided in the state's initial disclosure, but it's not the defendant's original video either. The state has provided the original video or even asserted it possesses it. No, you have it and you've hid it. Now, this is Nick's argument is, and I saw this argument on the farms, and it's the most accurate argument. If you go to a theater to watch a movie, Nick will say, did you watch the movie? And you'll say, yeah, I watched The Lion King. Nick will go, haha, no, you didn't, because the original Lion King is stuck in the Disney vault. Actually, you didn't know what you've seen. You haven't seen the real thing. As his Baldo jangles freely. That's the logic he's employing right now. And once again, going back to what Detective Pomplin did in his case, like in his affidavit, you have to have the most obtuse, like moronic reading of the English language to come up with what he says. And like I said, I'm not trying to help him, but we have to have some basic understandings of English. And what would a normal, reasonable person understand these things to be? Like that's the issue here. You know, like the affidavit does not show what Nick is claiming it shows. Here's the application for the search warrant. As we go through it, once again, we get to the actual affidavit, okay? This is where we talk about how to Detective Pomplin figure things out. While reviewing Aaron's social media video blogs, Aaron recently indicated that he and April are getting a divorce. Okay. And they keep going. And as we get to here, we get to the 22nd. I'm sorry. We got to the wrong spot here. Aaron did a video where he talked about Nick and insinuated controlled substance use and referenced a video that Nick had put out the night before on 5/21. Okay. So on 5/22, your affiant was able to review the video that was taken off of Nicholas's YouTube and Rumble social media sites. Yes, he watched a video that was taken off of Nick's YouTube and Rumble. He watched a video that was taken off YouTube and Rumble. Guess what? He watched Cog's video. He watched Cog's re-upload. He watched it. That's where he got this from. Like, we're not... Like, this is not hard. He lied. He didn't. No, Nick. Literally, read it. Read it. It makes sense. This isn't a lie. Literally, you can read it and figure it out. Like I said, and I'm trying to be charitable here. He looked at a video that was taken off of Nick's site. He doesn't talk about the original. But here's the things he can tell you. The video is from 5/21/24, and it is. That video Cog has is from Nick on the night of the 21st. And it's of Nick in his basement studio talking about the Court of Appeals ruling he lost. Yeah. So, once again, oh, he lied and it wasn't the real one and there's a watermark. It doesn't work. It doesn't work, Nick. Literally, you can read this, and what would a reasonable person understand this to be? That's why this is going to fail. And we'll just keep pointing out a couple other things here. And he wrote this on the 23rd. Pomplin wrote this on the 23rd and probably 22nd as working on the warrant. The entire video blog is 4 hours and 4 minutes long. At approximately 2 hours and 46 minutes into the video, he leaves. And then when he returns at 2 hours, 50 minutes, and 40 seconds, he appears to be making an excited look and has white powdery stuff on his nose. So there you go. You know, this is not like they're Nick's whining and screaming about the original. Dr. Pomplin, like, where's the word original in here? Where's the word original in this whole thing? Where's the word original? Once again, this is how lawyers do it. You shape the battlefield. Nick brought up the term original. Now we're fighting over the issue of what's original, what's not. That's not the argument here. There's no there. This issue about it being original doesn't matter. So I don't see where Detective Pomplin lied. Do the police lie? Sure. Is this a lie right here? Nope, that's not a lie. Looking at what they have makes total sense. It's not a lie. So let's get back to this. But they point out the two videos are very different. No, they're not. They're literally the same fucking thing. They literally came from the same thing. As the primary basis right here, we're starting with that part. As the primary basis for Pomplin's declaration that the defendant was actively using cocaine was a white powdery substance on Nick's nose. Pomplin had a duty to inform Fisher that he watched a video with another creator's imprint overlaid, and not the defendant's actual video. Once again, chat, this is fucking retarded, because he would have to say, Your Honor, this is what, like, that is how fucking dishonest Nick is right now, that he wants Pomplin to have to talk about this and that and the status bar. Because why aren't you arguing that's an overlay? Why aren't you arguing that's an alteration, huh? It is, it's altered. That's not how Nick's looked. I'm sure Nick is chuckling to himself. James says, hold on here. James, you bring up, why trust the police? I'm not trusting them. I'm trusting my own eyes. What did we watch happen? And what were the police able to put together that corroborated what we saw? So, yeah, at this point, I'm not trusting the police. I'm trusting what I saw. Go back and watch that stream. Are you going to tell me that didn't happen the way it happened? Once again, you don't have to trust the cops. Trust your own eyes. Trust your own common sense. And then trust what they found. It doesn't match up with what you have. Yeah. You know, you don't have to trust them. That doesn't mean they're not right. This is Nick felting himself. Because Pomplin looked at this. Because we go back to the affidavit. The entire video is 4 hours and 4 minutes long and 4 seconds. And he talks about, at approximately in the video, Nick leaves to go to the bathroom. When he returns at 2 hours, 50 minutes, and 40 seconds, he appears to make an excited look and has a white substance on his nose. So obviously he's watched the full thing. So there isn't a material misrepresentation. You're going to be tough. Like, once again, guys, that doesn't even count as sweeping. That's just looking at basic evidence. He said X, they produced X. It's very clear to imply and infer that happened this way. Like, this isn't fucking rocket science, and we're not doing gymnastics to get there. And they say, especially as existence of any alleged substance is questionable. Which, once again, that is a massive cope. That the existence of a substance is questionable. Really? You're gonna tell me that it's questionable that Nick had fucking powder on his nose? Oh yeah, that was an aberration. Nick was just putting an overlay on, chat. That was him kind of like doing VTubing. He VTubed Coke onto his nose, or powdered sugar, leaving Judge Fisher with the impression that he had watched the defendant's unaltered video is a material of misrepresentation. No, he watched an unaltered video. He watched an unaltered video. He watched the 4-hour, 4-minute, and 4-second unaltered video that COG had downloaded and then re-uploaded. You haven't explained why that one's not valid. You haven't explained why that one's not valid. And notice he won't. Notice he won't. And guys, I'm coming to you as a defense attorney. When you know, here's the thing. When you don't have it, you don't talk about it. He doesn't have the goods on that one, and he won't talk about it because he knows he's fucked. If he had it, he would say why it's wrong. If Nick really did, he would put up side shot, boom, 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 boom of his, because he's like, I have the original. Bow, this shot's different than that shot. Bow. And he would do it all the way through. It would be like comic book guy on The Simpsons doing a shot-by-shot analysis of something, frame by frame. If Nick had it, he would use it. But he doesn't. Once again, when you read legal documents, it's important to see what's being said. But it's just as critical to look at what aren't people talking about. The state, however, is the second problem. The metadata on the video in the state's initial disclosure shows the state hadn't downloaded defendant's original video. Well, that doesn't really actually say anything there. And the video they did download after the warrant had been requested and issued is not the defendant's original video. Now, this is something they're trying to show, and they're saying the Nicholas Recated pill stream, and it was archived 5/20/24. They're saying it was downloaded on Friday, May 24th, 10:23 a.m. And that was well after everything had happened. The other brand in the clip may have been from the application used to make the clip. Deputy Pomplin had a duty to inform Judge Fisher that he was basing his affidavit on an altered video. Except he didn't. Except he did not. Here's the issue. And I did this just now for shits and giggles, chat. So this document is, when you download it, it's called, and here is, can I show the actual whole file name for this? Well, we're going to show it in a second because I downloaded this motion from the Minnesota court, right? I downloaded the motion, right? So it creates a file and it saves it on my computer. By Nick's logic, he actually wrote this motion and filed it on September 10th at 5:24 p.m. on Tuesday, September 10th. Does that mean that you didn't file this till today, Nick? No. How do you know that wasn't a copy of a file? You don't know. And you don't get to go on a fishing expedition to determine otherwise. This is the brief I downloaded that we're looking at right now. That's the brief we downloaded right now. If you look at it, you guys are going to see similar numbers and similar numbers after it. But yes, by Nick's logic, this didn't happen until September 10th at 5:24 in the afternoon, which is absolutely fucking stupid. Absolutely fucking stupid. And Dark Horse, you're right. Those details don't mean anything. And that's my point. When they come here to this part, these details, these don't mean anything. This doesn't mean shit. This is not relevant at all. It's copies. It's copies. It's full copies. That's all Nick did here. Now, you know what? Nick might be right. And here's the problem. Here's the problem. When you make arguments that are shitty and poorly planned and poorly thought out, and the prosecutor can provide a reasonable explanation for it, guess what happens? You fucking lose. That's why you have to do this right. You got to do it carefully. Now, there are ways he might be able to have made an argument that would have helped him. Sure. But these arguments, he fucks himself in the ass with these. And then once you start making arguments that are just awful and dog shit, the court, you're now fighting a battle of, it's not even the issue of lying, but you're just making retarded arguments. You're already falling behind the curve now. You're so far behind and the state's pulling that far ahead and you just sound like a babbling retard. And the court's going to be like, no, fuck you guys. As he said, they're not sending their best. If this is your best, this is fucking awful again. If this is yeah, great. You got the formatting down. Great. You kind of got basic legal writing 101 fixed. This is garbage. This is hot fucking garbage. I mean, I understand it. They ain't got nothing. Like this, I mean, really, they ain't got nothing.
You're here because you got nothing. You got nothing in court. You don't got the bookkeeper. You got nothing. Nothing. And if you were a man, you would have done it now.
Like there's no limb to go out on here. They don't have it. They're making just ridiculous arguments here. These are absolutely ridiculous arguments. Talking about altered videos. And once again, going back to this point here, as Nick said in part 7, the trial court can make a determination on the validity or upon other such evidence it deems necessary to make its ruling. You know what the court could say? Hi, Nick, give me your copy of the fucking video. You're talking so much shit. Let's see what you got. And then guess what happens? I mean, like, here's the deal. You go into this, like, let's say, I don't think Nick's going to get a Frank's hearing. Let's say on the off chance he does. Part of this is going to be, well, it's altered. Even the 4 hours is altered. How? Show us the difference. You're going to show that video and it's not going to, like, if you come in there and try that and you absolutely fucking crater when there's literally no difference between them. Holy shit, Attorney White. There will, you will get gaped like on a scale. Like, your suffering will become legendary even in hell. I could see you getting sanctioned for that because that's what's going to have to happen at some point. So once again, they're like, well, all necessary evidence, including who has the original copy. You're walking into a minefield you laid. And you don't remember where you planted him. So let's move on to part C. The determination letter from Children's Services is relevant and determinative. Is it really, though? We'll take a look at that, because is it really relevant and determinative? I don't know. Like I said, chat, I don't think so, Tim. They say, once again, the state, while correctly stating the rules, reached the wrong conclusion. The screening of maltreatment reports is controlled by an entirely different set of statutes and standards of criminal offenses. The standards are much lower for screening child maltreatment reports. Okay. The state is suggesting that the failure to meet probable cause to satisfy the lower burden of proof for the clear and convincing standard. The clear and convincing standard, chat, is far higher than probable cause. Clear and convincing is way higher. Like, you've got probable cause. That's like, let's call it like 30%. Then you have preponderance of the evidence, 51%. Clear and convincing, like 2/3, 60-some%. Then you have beyond a reasonable doubt, like 90%. Now, maybe they're trying to say something else, but this is poorly worded. The state is suggesting the failure to meet the probable cause to satisfy the lower burden of proof for the clear and convincing standard has no impact on probable cause to satisfy beyond a reasonable doubt. We're not satisfying beyond a reasonable doubt. It's a fucking warrant. It's a warrant. It's not beyond a reasonable doubt. Once again, this is just fucking gobbledygook. Now you're just hammering things in there, which maybe you're trying to make an argument, but you're using terms that don't fit the argument. Those beyond a reasonable doubt has a specific meaning, chat. That is a specific meaning. Clear and convincing, specific meaning, specific meaning. Probable cause, specific meaning, and specific thresholds. The requisite showing necessary to initiate a child protection matter being much lower than one necessary to secure a warrant. No. The idea Children's Services can get involved with less than probable cause? No, that's not how that works. You're telling me a child protection, like to get kids stripped from home, is far less than the police executing a search warrant? Ain't no fucking way. Not even in Minnesota. And I'm not even a Minnesota attorney. And I will fucking bet you dollars of donuts. And see, Nick, there you go. You can make a fat guy joke without using sandwiches anymore. Dollars of donuts. Use that one. It's free. I'll bet you dollars of donuts that the standard for getting children removed from a home and getting a children's service investigation going is not lower than probable cause. That would be unconstitutional. That would be absolutely horrible. That would be think about how scary that would be. Lower than probable cause? That would be, Nick's like, you should look at this and be scared. Like, your argument is scary. That you think that it's so low. No, that's not it. That is not it. But once again, is it really bad? Does this make any sense? I don't know. I don't know, chat. Problem is, like, once again, are people working without tools or not working with the right tools? And they say that this warrant should have foreclosed the basis for Deputy Pomplin. And even if it didn't, he had a duty to tell Judge Fisher the determination had already been made by Children's Services. The allegations have been found insufficient. They were insufficient for them to look into. The Children's Services didn't prove the conditions wrong. And see, that's where we're playing word games again. Here's two big terms, chat. Insufficient and unsubstantiated. In Children's Services cases, when they do an investigation on claims, it's either substantiated or unsubstantiated. Those are the two options. Substantiated, we believe and we have evidence to believe it happened. Unsubstantiated, we couldn't find evidence to back up the claims. Okay. Insufficient information to even get to an investigation means insufficient. Notice Nick is not saying unsubstantiated in this, because that would be a lie. That would be, speaking of material misrepresentations, that would be a massive misrepresentation. The claim is unsubstantiated, meaning they couldn't find any proof of this happening. No, it's they got a report and they couldn't do anything with it, so they fucking wrote it off. You need to think about this and when I've helped police do search warrants before when I was working as assistant prosecutor. It's the progression, it's the journey, the trajectory of this. So the police get the report from Pastor Mellon. Okay. So they go, things are going on at the Requeta house. And then a couple days go by, and it's kind of on the back burner. They hear on the 22nd, Aaron losing his fucking mind on Steel Till Morning Show. And the detectives go, let's start looking into this. So yes, this all started, the Children's Service stuff kind of got the ball rolling. It started getting, it primed the pump of, hey, police think something might be happening here. Okay, and then they got confirmation, hey, there's some coke stuff going on. They're like, what? And then they tried to look for Nick's stream, and they found, oh my God, Nick was doing coke last night. You see how that works? So even without the children, like all that stuff about Children's Services, they could argue, yes, that was found to be insufficient, or it's found to be unsubstantiated. Let's say Nick's argument, that's what he wants. Because remember, Nick and his attorney are being very careful, because if they said unsubstantiated, they'd be fucking lying. And they would be really fucking lying, like really big time lying. Right now, they're kind of shitting around the bush. They're kind of shitting around the edges. But they didn't have the balls, because they know better than to say unsubstantiated. That's a big, big point. So here, what do? They say it's insufficient. Okay, so Pomplin says that. Does that change the probable cause in the house that Nick was doing drugs and we find cocaine? You've got Aaron saying there's cocaine in the house. I've done cocaine. And then you got Nick literally the night before, dust it all up. You got probable cause. You still have it. Because I do this, I can tell you what they're trying to do, and I can tell you what they're hiding. Because I've been in this situation before. You're hiding things. You're trying to hide stuff in your arguments and trying to sidestep around landmines as you go. But these ones are like, no, these ones are too obvious. This is just, no, this is a non-starter. This is a non-starter. His omission was misleading, and the material, as was his failure to inform Judge Fisher that CPS had determined the incident or condition does not fit the definition of child abuse or neglect as defined in Minnesota Statutes Chapter 260E. Now, remember, going back to the warrant, guys, and we're going to have to go back to the El Warranto. I believe that the following described property and things located at the Requeta house would be, namely, controlled substances, including methamphetamine and cocaine, and items that would allow or show controlled substance use that would not qualify as legal drug paraphernalia. Do you see anything in there about child neglect? I mean, check it out, chat. Check it out. Wiggity, wiggity, what's it all about? Do you see it? Do you see it? Do you see it, chat? Do you see anything in there? Nothing about child neglect is in this warrant. Remember, it's a building block. It's like a precursor. It gives some context and color to the situation. But it's not the end-all, be-all. This whole children's services thing, once again, this is a ruse, and I would argue it's a ruse. It's a red herring, not relevant. The firearm seizure remains unlawful. Okay, well, let's look at this. The state is over-reliant on the plain view exception. I mean, not really. It's the plain view exception. It's, you know, it is what it is. It is what it is here. I mean, they were looking around and they found stuff. I mean, you know, which the defendant distinguished in his motion. The state, however, failed to address either the strong relationship between the seized and described items, standard, or the nexus between the item seized and the criminal behavior, standard, raised in defendant's motion. As such, the court should consider any counter-argument waived and grant defendant's motion. I'm not really sure about that. I'm not so sure there, you know, like, I don't think so, Tim. So the state of Minnesota versus, this is the state's memorandum. So let's take a look at it. The state's memorandum here. Memorandum of law. Let's go looking through for the gun stuff. They talk about the plain view exception. Oh, God. Ooh, that's way too fast. Plain view. You know, they talk about the facts available to the officer would warrant a person of reasonable caution to believe the items may be useful as evidence of a crime. To justify the warrantless seizure, probable cause must be based on evidence revealed in plain view and cannot be attained after further searching of the object. They basically said, like, no, your argument's fucking stupid. Here's the actual law we should be focusing on. So, but once again, Nick, it's not that they're, you know, you've won by default. They're saying, like, no, that's not right. It's all plain view. And I would have to agree. It's all plain view. As much as I'd love to suppress it, and I'd make the arguments about the nexus and all that, and I've made those arguments before about what was found and found outside a search warrant, but you pretty much always lose those. I mean, like, let's be real. Like, you're probably going to lose that argument anyway. I don't see them winning it. And they say inclusion. It defies common sense to say the court can make a practical common sense decision. Really, can they not? It defies common sense to say the court can make a practical common sense decision, whether given all the circumstances set forth in the affidavit, including the veracity and the basis of knowledge of persons applying the hearsay information. You know, the probable cause exists to issue a warrant, yet cannot use the same test to look at the information the defendant supplies on a motion to suppress information when the information itself come from that which was disclosed by the state in discovery. This is Nick's slick argument of saying, no, it was you who did this wrong. No, stalker child. It was you providing me the information that allowed me to suppress this motion. The defendant, pursuant to the state's suggestion, does not wish to turn this into a general probable cause dismissal. Therefore, we adjoin the state suggesting an additional briefing schedule should be set by the court. Well, once again, that's not what the state said. The state said, they point out in Nick's motion, and this is the state's motion, the state requests an additional briefing schedule if the defendant is raising a general probable cause challenge to the warrant. So they say if Nick is going to raise it, we want more time. Notice what Nick's saying here. We therefore join the state's suggestion that additional briefing schedule should be set by the court. That's not, once again, Nick and them won't fucking say the right thing. It's all this bullshit wordsmithing. That's not what the state said. And it's one thing if you misrepresent something here or there and you're like, okay, I was wrong. But you keep misrepresenting all the way through this. You have very little credibility at that point. You have very little credibility. And here's the thing, like, yes, you wordsmith, guys. but you got to do it well. And I mean, this is wordsmithing that's just laughable. Like, it's not going to work. This is a joke. I mean, this is stuff you guys are picking apart. All of you out there are picking this thing apart. You're picking apart all kinds of parts and pieces of this, and that just shows you how fucking awful it is to start with. This is the problem, chat. This is just a fucking joke. This is lolcow worthy. This is awful. You're not sending your best. You're not sending your best out there. This is the best you got. It's not good enough. Now, to be fair, am I willing to be wrong? Sure. Could Nick be granted a Frank's hearing? Yeah, it's possible. Would I bet money against it? Yeah. Because right now, what are we looking at? Could the judge say, you know what? Fuck it. You know what? You dumb f***s. Here you go. Have your Frank's hearing. But then here's the thing. When you have the Frank's hearing, Nick, you've caught the tiger by the tail. And now you're going to have to show us why it's different. Show us what's wrong. Because clearly it's clear Pomplin didn't lie unless you managed to catch him in something, which you haven't introduced the evidence for yet, so I don't know where it's at. But you're going to show your video, and then you're going to show the COG video, and there are going to be no fucking differences. And then you're fucked. So I don't really think you want the Frank's hearing at this point. I mean, maybe your plan was to bully the state and kind of force them to think they have problems, and then they cut you a deal. Because I filed suppression motions before, and you get the state all panic and flustered, and they're like, "Oh my god!" And you kind of play some wordsmith games here, and you fuck with their mind a little bit, and you take advantage. Prosecutor may be up on top of a topic, or like in a gun case, you could fuck with them a little bit because they don't know guns too well, or this or that, or you make some metadata and trip. And they're like, okay, we'll cut you a deal. Boom, done. It's what you wanted. That happens sometimes. But this ain't going to get it. This ain't working on it. Part of when you're an attorney is you should file a motion and should pass a straight face test. And this isn't. And this is, I'd argue, this is straddling. It's one thing to lie once or twice in a motion or to get something wrong, like a material misrepresentation. You could probably get away with hiding that. But doing this over and over and over again and making all these arguments like this, oh, chat, I would not want to do this. I would not want to hand this in. I wouldn't want to get sanctioned by the court. Would the court report you and grieve you to the bar? Probably not. But I can see these guys getting sanctioned. The very least, they're going to get their fucking assholes reamed out. Like, I can see White getting his balls stomped on for this. And it's not fun. It's not fun. And I get it. White might not practice out there. So he's saying, fuck it. We're going to, full send it and we'll see what happens. Full send on that. Fucking, fire for effect. Give me a full sheath on that. But Jesus Christ, this is not a good look. This is not a good look to see how you're doing it. So anyways, guys, that's where this is. Could Nick get his Frank's hearing? Maybe. I'm not counting on it. This is a really, like I said, it's formatted good, which lends to it. It looks better. But this is just more hammer dog shit coming out. That's been, it's hammer dog shit that's been cleaned up and wiped up so it's not smeared everywhere. It's still hammer dog shit. It's still not going to work. It shouldn't work. Nick gets it great, but I don't see it.